My name is Maria Kent Beers, and my co-host Rachel Martinez and I are pleased to present Remember Me. This podcast is dedicated to preserving the memories of those diagnosed with FTD. We hope this episode leaves you feeling more connected, provides a deeper understanding, and allows you to learn to accept the good. Always, always accept the good. This is Remember Me.
This is who I am, where I come from.
We are so excited to have Michelle from the Sister Project. As you guys remember, we had our episode called June with Lauren from the Sister Project, and now we have a follow-up story from Michelle. I think this is going to be a really cool episode to kind of see a different perspective from a recent episode. So I think we'll just jump in, and we want to know, Michelle, from your perspective, kind of those first things that you saw.
First, before I get started, I just want to say thank you so much for doing this. I think that spreading awareness for things like FTD and like diseases is so important, and I love what you guys are doing, and am happy to be here to offer my story as a way to cast a wider web in hopes to help people. So thank you. So what did we start noticing? God, it seems like so long ago, you guys. I mean, it seems like it's like walking through thick mud.
Yes.
Trying every day. The first things that we started noticing, or I started noticing, that my babies were 3. I have twins, and they were little, and they were my mom's life. I mean, I went through bouts of infertility, and I would cry to her that I wasn't going to be able to have babies, and then she'd make fun of me when my kids were bouncing on my knees later.
Aww.
Remember when you thought you weren't going to have any babies? Look at you now. And then, it seemed like overnight she just retracted, totally lost interest. And there were so many other dynamics going on in our family at that time. So it was hard to tell what the distance was, but it was not normal, and it wasn't who she was. And, we started to notice her not being put together. She was more unkempt and driving by a lot, and just the behaviors became so regular and obvious that we got to a certain point where we were like, we need to figure out what's going on.
And were you the first person to are you the oldest?
I'm the oldest.
Oh, yes, I'm the oldest of the 4, and you're the oldest of 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the one who was like, gotta figure this out, guys.
It's just like your job, like in that situation, especially if you're near and stuff. Yeah, so drove that bus and took her to doctors, therapists. We spent 6 months. It was, in a way, that period of time was so sad. Time that we had together every week, where we would go out to dinner and have this most awkward exchange, her and I, and then we go seek therapy, and just trying to peel back the layers, because you don't know, and nobody was really directing us. So it was, I feel like everything I do, I'm like the detective trying to figure it out. I just want somebody to come and be like, hey, you know what, this is what the deal is. But and then finally we got her to the specialist in for Northwestern, and that was the darkest day I think I've ever had in my entire life. They took a picture of her brain, they did some cognitive testing. That was like in a couple of appointments leading up to it. And then that day, we went in there and had a very short, no bedside manner. I felt like zero compassion, just, your mom has frontal lobe is atrophying. Does your mom have money? Because she's going to need it. Have a nice day. Okay.
Now, was your mom there? Did she sit there and hear that news?
No, that she did not. And we were all, isn't that the part that just agitated me to no end? Just because my mom couldn't outwardly communicate, it pained me for anyone to talk about her like she was dead but still had a
Right.
beating heart in front. And she wasn't there for that, but I've always been sensitive of that, with caregivers down the road that I felt like maybe weren't considering the sensitivity part. I would be like, we need to go in another room. I don't care if she can't talk. This is terrible,
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've experienced the same. I totally understand what you're saying. And also the people would like scream at my mom, like she was hard of hearing. I'm like, she's 50 years old.
Yeah.
She can hear you. She just can't communicate. But that's why we're doing this, right? We're trying to educate people because people just don't understand. And it is hard.
That's the thing. And Lauren and I have actually something on our website on our journey with dementia portion where we cataloged all of our stories and experiences we went. And it was just like a disclaimer, like you don't consider for a moment when you're out in the world, when you brush up against somebody that's seemingly odd or appears to look like maybe they haven't showered in a couple days, or just maybe is rude themselves, but something's not right. Like, choose compassion,
Right.
Just be kind. I just think that in this world that we live in, that's the one thing that lacks so much. And people that have invisible diseases like our loved ones, and they also don't look the part of somebody who's losing their mind, so many unfortunate exchanges in grocery stores. I mean, I would leave sobbing or enraged because I just couldn't believe the exchange that I just witnessed. And on top of trying to manage just struggling and choking it down every minute of every day, which I imagine you guys are, choking it down.
I think one of the biggest things that now, I mean, not now because of COVID, but when I would visit my dad, he's in a facility, the caregivers would talk to him, Frank, your daughter's here. Like he's 2.
An idiot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be like, he could totally understand what you're saying. He just cannot respond. Maybe he knows I'm here. Even if he knows for that split second, just let him be. Like people, I think the bottom line is people feel so awkward with dementia and they don't know what's coming and they don't want to offend and they don't want to, so they're just, I don't know what else to do. And it makes it worse. It makes it so much worse because then you get pissed. I get so annoyed. I'm like, he's not my son. He's my dad.
I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but I have like crippling anxiety taking my mom in public because I'm just like, people aren't going to understand. Like, I'm trying to think of examples. My mom had like a tendency to like go up to strangers and children, and she's a sweet woman, but like, people are like, what the heck? And I would just be like, what is she going to do now?
Yeah.
It's so hard.
Yeah. You know what people used to do? And I thought this was a really great bit of advice. They would make a card. And when they would walk up to a cash register or something, and, like how we all have been or are with at times our ailing parent that doesn't know how to anymore communicate or manage themselves in a public situation, just gently pass the card along to the register or to the person behind that says, thank you for your patience. This is my mom and she has a shrinking brain, and then give them one of these. I'm sorry, you'll be able to get that out.
That's a
Nobody can see you.
Yeah, that's a really great tip. I wish that we had done that.
I think the AFTD actually has like printable cards on their website.
So
okay, back to June.
Yeah, back to June. So, okay, so you got the devastating diagnosis, the doctor saying, hope you have money, goodbye. What happened next?
So we got the diagnosis that was happening, and I went home and I slept from the moment I walked in the door until the next day. I mean, I had tiny children, and then the next morning you wake up and you're faced with the reality. You've been wondering for so long, what is going on? Is it a nervous breakdown? Does she hate me? Are we just moving in different directions? Oh, it's this. And then it seemed like overnight she required 24-hour care. It was like just fast track catapulted us into that space, which was just a whole nother space for us. That was so hard for me, because you have to let go. That's when you can't do it yourself, or in my instance, I could not do it at that time, and you have to let go a little. And it's just devastating. I just thinking about the people that walked into the house that worked for her, and then the ones that didn't, there was just a lot of, I always say we had to kiss some frogs to get our angels, like our earth angels. And we did, we had some amazing care that changed our life truly, and made my mom's life better for what she was. But the expense to care for somebody, the amount of time somebody lives with this type of disease, it's just all bad. And there's no cure. There's no treatment. Maybe a pill that might slow it down or help with other behaviors. It's just every aspect of this particular disease it's a death sentence. It's just so sad.
When you guys got the diagnosis of frontal lobe dementia, was there any relief? Like, were you like, okay, that makes sense that she's been doing all these things that I took?
Totally.
I mean, for me, I would take it personally. Like, okay, my dad's done with me. He's done raising me. He has no interest in me anymore. But when I got the diagnosis, I'm like, okay, he still loves me.
I remember, well, see, and that's the thing, like when we all are in big family, when you come from a family with lots of siblings, everybody goes through their own, like, a version of how they're dealing with this situation. And for me, I always knew deep down inside that there was something wrong. So like even when I did lose my mind and get frustrated and maybe act like a jerk, and then still beat myself up to this day with guilt over some things that if I would have just had patience or known, whatever, but you cannot do that. I mean, we can only handle so much. I knew deep down, and I got Googled one day, and I was like, what is this FTD? And then when we went to the doctor, I'm like, this seems like we're checking off all the boxes of FTD. And then when they said it, I was like, okay, I basically, that's what I figured it was. I was sitting in my office in the city, and I'm like, I went into my dad's office, and I was like, this is everything. She has all of these things. And then wouldn't you know it?
What was this like for you, having young kids and having your mother go through this?
On the verge of a nervous breakdown. Literally was driving to places and getting there and not knowing what roads I took to get there. Like, my mind was so shot. I was in the middle phase of, we were just trying to figure out what was wrong. And then the whole process of, when you figure out what's wrong, you have to figure out how to take care, but you are in this incredible, like, juxtaposition where you're caring for your parent when you should be caring for your babies. And I honestly, that period of my life, and I feel bad saying this, but my kids did not have a whole mom for the entire time my mom was alive when she was sick. When my mom started to get sick and I had to care for her, I was only functioning. I was doing everything bad. I was not bad.
You're in survival
we were
mode.
spread so thin.
Yeah.
I parked my car. I went to go work out, and I had forgotten I had driven my husband's car. And when I got out of there, I was like, oh my God, my car is stolen, because I was looking for my Honda Pilot and I had driven my husband's Impala. And we called the police. And then the car is in front of me. I'm standing in front of it, and I look at the police officer, and I'm like, I start sobbing. Now I'm hugging him. He's holding me, and he was so sweet. And I was like, and I told him, I'm like, I was with my sister. We're both crying. I'm like, our mom is sick. We're so stressed out. I'm losing my mind. It was the saddest, but I was like, now that was when I was like, holy shit, like the stress, it takes you down.
Yeah.
Takes you down. I don't know.
I know it's consuming. It's overwhelming. You're in two places at once. You're constantly thinking, I need to do this for them. And okay, do they have lunch? Okay, they're okay. And now I have to take care of this child, basically. I mean, that's how, when I go visit my dad, I'm like, okay, both need a diaper change. Let me call the nurse. Let me get him over here.
Yep.
Like and it's so like they mirror each other a lot, which is really sweet, but also like so absolutely tragic and almost horrifying in a way. Like you feel like a horrible caregiver, daughter, mom, wife.
Yep.
Like where do you fit in? Where is your self-care? Zero.
Last, and that's why we're calling the police when we think our car has been stolen. And now I will say this, like I feel like my kids, if you could find the silver lining in the most horrible things, to teach our kids to like show compassion and take care of your parents, and like be able to like put things aside that don't matter for like the ultimate love. That's the thing. When my mom got sick, you know, when you have your first baby and it's like this love that the love is so big, you can't even explain it. You can't even put it in a box. When my mom got sick, my love for her, my protective desire to keep her safe, because she was totally vulnerable, could not talk, could possibly fall, could be totally taken advantage of. That's a whole separate story that she was victim of, which I think is also a massive important piece, because I think that what happened there happens to a lot of people in this situation, which is disturbing. But I was like, I got to make sure that she's okay. And everybody else.
It's almost like instinctual in a way. Yeah. Like it just comes out. You can't really control that. I know exactly what you're talking about. So after she got the diagnosis, and I think Lauren mentioned you guys moved her into, she called it like a little cottage, kind of near you. Yeah. Is that right? So what was your role? Like, I know she had caregivers. I know that she was taken care of. Like, did you see her all the time? What was kind of
all the time? My role was, I mean, I managed my mom's life basically. And when the caregivers came in, I was able to manage her bills and make sure that the food was being bought and, you know, just help with all of those things. But also when I got to go see her, I could just be with her and not be helping her in the bathroom or feeding her. But when we moved her, I found a house by my house that I was looking at condos, and I was just I was obsessed with what would she want? What would she want? How would it look for her if she could speak and if she could choose? And I'm like, my mom was not going to be in a condo. She loved her yard. She loved throwing bird seed, you know, feeding the birds. And like, so when I drove past this house, I'm like, I have to have it. We have to figure out how to do this. And that's when we were talking about in the beginning of our conversation, like there's like this real thing to things happening because you put them out into the universe. And, you know, we bought this house, she bought the house, and I renovated it so she could live there. And she for a couple of years, it was great for her. And that's where she ended up passing. But it was just such a bright, like light, beautiful, lovely space that she could be comfortable and look out the window and see the world around her, even if she couldn't move. But I know, like, my grandma was in a nursing, you know, like in an assisted living and stuff. Like, I've experienced all of the things, and no matter how you slice it, it's all so hard.
Yeah.
But
I
there are
think
good
one
things.
thing there are, which you have to sometimes like really look for.
did.
But I think you really hit the nail on the head in terms of talking about your kids. So my kids go and see my dad in a nursing home. And of course, the first time, like the eyes were huge. One of them was crying. The other one was just
It
like
smells
looking down.
funny.
Yeah, totally. And my dad will holler when he gets excited. You know, he does like kind of this loud, it's pretty intense. So I get why they're scared.
Yeah.
But now they walk through there, they're looking for him, ready to pass. It's like second nature in a way. Like they don't even think like my grandpa's weird. He's the, you know, when they talk about him, they're like, my grandpa's brain doesn't work like ours do. So it's this like tender kind of compassionate side of them.
They do.
Which is beautiful. But then it's like, so like, it just pulls on the heartstrings because I want them to have a different relationship, of course. So what was that like when your mom was now in this sweet little cottage? Could your kids go over and spend time with her?
Yes, they would ride their bikes there. And we would go there. One of the caregivers was like this phenomenal cook. And she was like, it was almost like she in a way replaced like my mom. If my mom were alive, we would be eating dinner there once a week. That was the draw. My mom knew that if she made great food, you know, we would all come hell or high water and eat and drink and have a great time. So her caregiver, Zena, who I just had a bond with, I loved her. She would make all of her foods, like, but she would make things like I'd walk in the house and I'd be like, it smells like my mom made that, you know? But we would go there, and every Thursday we would eat with my mom, and it was a regular thing. And my kids' friends would go there, and we'd be watching like some lame kids movie, and there would be like the neighbor kids sitting on the couch too. Like it was like what it would have been like had she been well. And that meant the world, like lessen the blow a little bit. But now the kids, like they see old people, I'm sorry, they see old people, and Mia will be like, it affected her in a way that she's like, I'm worried about that person. You know, does that person's clothes, are they able to take care of themselves? And I'm looking at the person, I'm like, no, that person probably has freaking FTD, dude. Why, you know?
Right.
So sad.
How old are the kids now?
They're 11.
Okay.
Oh, so how old were they when she passed away?
It was last year.
It was 2019.
Was it?
So they were, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Maria's part of your family now.
I listened to
knows the anniversary
episode editing over and over and over.
Yeah.
I know about Flora.
Flora.
Oh my God,
right, I
Flora.
remember that.
And like that was the other thing too. Like Flora. So Zena was Ukrainian, and Flora was from the Philippines, and just their like culture and having that connection with them, and having them like. Flora and her husband, he was a chef and she was the caregiver, but he was there as much as Flora was. We just became family. And like, I'm like, oh my God, this man is holding my mom's hand, walking around my neighborhood. I couldn't believe how lucky. And I know that not everybody has the means to have that. And so like, I acknowledge just so lucky. But on top of that, you know, there are good people out there, and we found a couple of them. They found us, and they used to say to us, I'd say, I feel so lucky. And they'd be like, we feel so lucky. You know, it It was insane. I mean, literally insane. Love
I
them.
think
That's
it's
so
like a
sweet.
really incredible thing that all of us have gone through these like traumatic events, but
Hell.
we all talk the same when we talk about these like little blessings or earth
Yep.
angels. Earth angels, guardian angel, that comes up in a lot of interviews. And I think that this experience like puts life in perspective. And
Yeah.
I have always said like it almost makes me more grateful than I've ever been in my life because I've experienced this like deep pain. And I don't know,
Mm.
I just, it's
They just
special.
come
a
out of the
silver lining.
woodwork, right? Like you would have never, like, that's how like, I'm like, wait, my dad's roommate is this kind of like, I don't know, different person, but he genuinely looks out for my dad.
Mm.
Like if your dad is getting restless in the middle of the night, I click the nurse's button or I'll just start yelling. I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. But
So sweet.
that's somebody I would never like really invest my time in or he's just not. But now he's like, he'll be like, hey, he'll call, hey, your dad was talking in his sleep last night. Just wanted to give you an update. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. Thanks for the
Amazing.
update.
Sing.
Also,
Sweetheart.
are
I'm
you
telling you
listening?
though. That's what I was gonna say. Why is he there? Seems like he's, or is he not?
Totally. Yeah. But he'll be like, Frank, what do you want to watch? Pink Floyd? And he'll like find a Pink Floyd concert.
Oh my God, I
on
love him.
YouTube or something.
Uh-huh.
But I'm also like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and bring you your Burger King because you take such good care of my dad.
Totally.
I would never be friends with someone like you outside of this, but I'm a little scared. Also grateful. Thank you, Daryl, for
Totally.
calling that nurse button in the middle of the night.
I don't know, silver linings, I guess.
I know it seems so messed up to even, it's like, oh,
Right?
there's something good that came out of my
I
mother's
know.
brain shrinking, but we're grasping at
I
straws.
got to meet this Ukrainian lady who would cook. I know. It's
Best
It's weird to
Ukrainian
talk
fries I've
about.
ever had.
Oh my God. I don't even know what Ukrainian fries are, but I want them
You
now.
guys, she would hand cut the potato and they would be like matchstick almost, like a little bit thick, just like skinny.
I feel like that's how my
flat.
Yaya would make them. Maybe it's similar to Greek fries.
Oh my God. And then she would fry them in canola oil, which is horrific. And we would eat them. I mean, honestly, I probably have clogged arteries after a year of Ukrainian fries every week. I was like, oh, again, okay.
Don't twist my arm.
I need to reach out to her. I actually feel bad. Like after my mom died, I disconnected from everything in my life, my family, my caregivers, like all of these people that I had like a direct connect that I felt like I needed to keep on in the loop and was always like kind of orchestrating different things. I'm like, I just took a big breath. I'm still taking a big breath. I can feel it.
Yeah, that came up in an episode with Katie Brandt. She lost her husband. He was like 32. And she, in her
Sorry.
episode, she really got into like how after he passed, it was like she just had to sleep for a year. I don't think
Wow.
you realize how much your body was going through and how much stress until it's over, you know?
And that's the other strange thing is when it's over, you really, it's that you have guilt for feeling relief. But at the same time, you have been, like you said, so sad, like stress, sadness, like grieving. I mean, grieving just I cried every day for a year. I swear to God, every day I got in my car and I go to work and it was like just, that was my release. And after I was like, how long is this going to hurt like that? And then that slowly goes away and you start to disconnect. I felt like, I remember saying to my sisters, I felt like I was disconnecting from her because she was so not really there. And that I felt horrible. I just am like, this is not normal. And then, I mean, I'm being totally honest, when we got towards the end and I was like, you guys, I feel like she's dying. Like, I think that she's dying. And you do the thing where you get on Google and you're like, what are the early stages of? And you're like, all right, struggling with like the swallowing and all of these things. And then I called her doctor and, you know, they say it's time to go into hospice, and you almost can start to breathe again then, because you're like, dear God, let them go. Just let them be free from this. Sorry, guys. I just took a road down to Sadville.
No, I think someone is hearing that, and this has been like a lot of people in the FTD community have been messaging us, and you're validating their feelings by saying that, you know?
Totally.
And so I appreciate you being so open.
I think what's like the overarching thing is when you're dealing with a loved one who has a progressive disease like this, you're constantly waiting. Okay, is today going to be the day? Are they going to just poop out today? You know, am I going to get that call? Are they going to fall? Are they going to do that? You know, you're always on edge, and you feel so like, I can feel it sometimes, like it feels like two hands on my neck. Like it just is so consuming.
Yep.
The calls and you need to get this directive. And do you want him resuscitated if he dies? And what if he chokes? Do you want us to do the Heimlich? Like, I don't know. I don't know the answers to these questions. You do it. You're the medical professional. I'm just the family member. But that overarching sense of just unanswered and unfulfilled grief. So you're just constant, just day after day. Okay, I'm going to wake up again and I'm going to breathe. Yep. Today might be the day. It might not. And that's the hard part. Your body, I can feel it just all in my shoulders and the way I talk. It's just so dark, and
it's on your mind 24/7.
You can't shake it.
Yeah.
And I think like a lot of,
I don't want to ask you about it. I'm like, I'm thinking about it all the time.
Yeah, you're not bringing the thought to the forefront. It's there always. But I think what a lot of our listeners and a lot of the people that are wanting to join the podcast, their loved one has not passed away yet. So they're in this stage of just
they're walking through it.
Yep.
So when you kind of realize like, all right, the end is near, you know, what was the next step? Like, I know Lauren talked a lot about it, but what was your perspective? Was it like sad and morbid, or were you like, we're ready. Like, she's ready. I'm ready.
I was like, I remember wondering, what is this going to look like up until the point, like my mom had not had any hospital stays. She was at home. She was like, her body was healthy, you know? So she was in such good care that she wasn't having any of those things. But I often wondered, I'm like, what is this going to look like what is going to happen, how are we going to get her to, I remember the last time she took a car ride, you know, and all of those things. But then when it was like, and you guys, I can't even begin to say, like, I mean, across the board, like the process for us and our mom's passing was like the most beautiful experience of my life. I mean, my mom's best friend was a hospice, like I don't know what they call them.
She like the volunteer.
Yeah, she was a hospice volunteer. She was a death doula, basically. That's what she did in her spare time. And so when we got word that we needed to call hospice, she was naturally the first person that we called. And then she came and didn't leave for 3 days or 2 days or whatever it was. Wow. I mean, she sat by my mom's bedside and like guided us in all of these things. When it got to that point, it was like, okay, she's going to be free. We're ready for this for her. Our family came and everybody came and said their goodbyes, and we all willed her to the other side. And then when she finally did, I think that I took my first deep breath in what seemed like a decade. honestly, you know?
How did you feel after?
Well, I think that we would describe it, we described it as the death fog. Like you are just overcome with this like sense of heavy, like you're not feeling for a moment. You're just kind of like awake and going through things. I'll tell you a funny story though that'll make you laugh. When my sisters and I, at one point, somebody was like, "You need to leave. You need to go." This was before she no, this was after she had passed. And I hadn't showered in like what I think it probably was like a week. I was walking around in my mom's sweater. I slept in the blanket that she died in. Like, you do weird stuff. I've got her perfume in my car, and when I am missing her, I take a spray, a sniff, and put it on me. Do weird stuff like that. But we went to get our nails done, and somebody said, "How are you?" And it was me and all of my sisters. And we were like, "We're good." And then we kept walking, and we're like, "They don't know. They don't know what we have been through. We have just been through. We're good."
Yeah.
we just survived hell. We were like, we could do anything. We did it. The death fog rolled in for a while. And then, I will say that I feel fortunate that my mom passed away during a time where we could celebrate her life properly, the way she would have wanted, the way we wanted to, surrounded by everybody and telling stories. But I'll tell you what, it's like getting married. When somebody dies, that exhaustion is the same exhaustion. And when you said that one lady said she felt like she slept for a year,
Yeah.
I've never connected with something more in my entire life. I feel like I'm still in that phase. Crying less.
I don't know if this is a
Sometimes.
weird question, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
I can't
So
wait.
one of the really challenging things about this devastating disease is your loved one changes. And then that is the picture that you have in your mind, and it replaces, kind of that old memory of who they were. Do you feel like once your mom passed, you then, like, are you remembering her the way she was at the end, or have you been able to just remember those, her gardening and cooking and her family gatherings?
Such a good question. I feel like I honor my mom's. I remember my mom by like living through, like doing things that she would have done, like kitchen space for me is majorly cathartic. And I'm probably, because I'm the oldest, I had taken on a lot of what she did when she cooked. So like, yeah, when I make some smells, for me, smells are something, whether it's like some sort of sauce that she would make or the perfume that she would wear. But I also feel like I talk to my kids about the Yaya before she was sick.
Yaya?
She was a Yaya.
Oh,
Yeah.
June. My Greek June.
But like always just telling my kids, like I tell my daughter Mia, I'm like, Mia, back in the day, you and Yaya would have taken regular trips to Nordstrom's and then dined at the cafe together. Like just she just loved all of our kids.
That's beautiful. I love that you keep her memory alive.
Trying to keep the tears in, guys.
Well, that's good to know that you can then think of the good after. Because I'm like, I don't know why that's something I obsess over, is like, I don't want to remember this. I want to remember like my artsy, beautiful, like full of life mom.
I relate to what you guys are doing and creating this. And when I was in that space of where I was living with FTD with my mom, when we created that aspect of our website as a way to share our story, but spread awareness. It was cathartic. It was honestly, it was a section of it. Like the Sister Project is aside, take away the journey with FTD. That is who our mom was. She was a hygge, cozy, dinner by candlelight, soup, loved fall, pumpkins, like embraced the 4 seasons. That is who our mom was. And so we get to keep her memory alive every time we put something out there, because we are who she was, you know?
Right.
But I totally connect with what you guys are doing with this, because it's an outlet and it's a way to connect. And also I feel like it's a way to feel like in a place where things are so hard and tough and sad, it feels good to do something that is helping in some way. And so I totally feel you on that. Did I go off track so bad?
I think that
No.
you brought up we should shift to talking about who June was before FTD, and we'd love to hear from your perspective what you thought of your mom. Yeah.
So fun. Everybody loved her. Like people, like I said before, she cooked. She was incapable of cooking for there was 7 of us, so she was kind of cooking for an army. But as kids got older and moved out and the less persons lived in the home, she always struggled with downsizing the head amount of mouths she was feeding. So fun, so generous. But we used to laugh she was an only child. We'd be like, you do not like to share. It's just funny aspects to her. We were her life. She always used to tell me that we were her legacy. And I know that sometimes maybe as she got older and we were growing up and she wasn't a mom anymore, I felt like sometimes she was going back and forth and what is her purpose? But at the end of the day, she was my family, my kids are my life. And she just wanted us to have everything that she didn't. And she was a good mom. We had some things that we did together, our one-on-one stuff. Coffee together in the morning. She'd say, come over and have a cup of coffee. We'd sit on the porch or in the kitchen. And by far my favorite. Miss that the most out of everything.
I hear you. My mom and I would do tea time. That was our thing.
That's so cute. I walked into my mom's house before she got really sick. The kids were sitting on the counter and are sitting on their little connector counter seats, that you could kind of sleep there. And I was like, what are you guys doing? And she's like, oh, we're just having our coffee. And they were drinking brown coffee with her.
Wait, fake coffee?
Fully she put a little bit of coffee in the bottom of the cup and then the rest milk and cinnamon and sugar. Brown coffee, they called it.
So sweet.
I love it.
So sweet.
The sweetest. And I was like, that's the cutest thing ever.
Can you tell us some of her signature recipes?
They're probably all on the blog.
I want to know though, because both you and Lauren talk about how she was an amazing cook.
She was an awesome Italian cook. She learned a lot from my dad's side of the family. And she was really good at just kind of cooking, throwing things in a pot and making it taste good. But her simple sauce was one that she picked up from our cousin from Italy, came in town. And she was sick of my dad trying to take them to all of the restaurants when they were in from Italy. So she demanded that she go and get the sauce ingredients. Well, my mom stood over her and learned that. And then that was a weekly staple in our house. And it is on the blog. It's the simple sauce. Little kids love it.
Oh, okay. I got to try it.
But my mom was so awesome. She had 5 kids. I don't know how people do it with 5 kids. I can't even do it with 2. My mom would bake a cake for every single one of us and decorate it. And I'm like, I can't. I'm like, can the grandma Ryan's mom make the cake? I can't even see straight. And I 2 kids. She did all of that. Like, we always looked put together, our clothes, our hair was perfectly done, our shoes were always shined. If I can be like just a smidge of what she was, I'm solid.
What outlets did she have, like, outside of being a mom? Did she have anything she did for herself, or, self-care?
Well, you know what? I feel like I don't remember this until later, but she did get her manicures were a thing that became popular later on. But my mom was a creative, like that. My mom was absolutely a creative. She made flower arrangements. She freelanced. She did all of our weddings. That was where I think that she felt most comfortable. Just whatever she touched was pretty, My mom was also like loved. She was the first lady to be like, if you don't feel like you are happy with what you see, you go ahead and you want to go get a little. She was Botox later on. She was making sure she looked real nice, which was also a telltale sign. We were like, you look drastically different than you did. You were looking real good, And she loved her TJ Maxx. That might have not been a outlet. That may have been a slight addiction.
TJ Maxx.
I love that.
So I know instead of a letter, you're going to share your last real conversation that you had with your mom. Would you mind telling us about that?
So one of the things that you guys know is the hardest is when your parent gets taken by something like FTD. By the time you find out what's wrong, it's like you've lost the ability to have a conversation. There's no goodbye. There's no, you don't get to like say everything you want, and your parent doesn't get to, you can, but you don't feel like it's being reciprocated or even being absorbed. And your parents, you don't get to have that final. And I just knew that she was slipping, and we were driving home from therapy, and we were having a conversation, and I was like, I just want you to know I love you. And she said that I was the greatest. I needed to hear it. She was like, you're the greatest joy of my life. Raising you was my greatest privilege. And I love you. That's it. And we never talked again. That was like it. It was like that. She like barfed out the last thing that she could say that made sense. And then that was it. But she said it. And like, we'll never forget that moment for the rest of my life, because I had missed it so much.
This is who I am, where I come from.
So thank you to Michelle for bravely sharing her story with us this week. If you want to learn more about Michelle and her sister Lauren, you can visit their blog, thesisterprojectblog.com. We release new episodes each week on Mondays, so subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If you want to connect with us, you can follow us on Instagram at Remember Me Podcast, or join our Facebook group, Remember Me Podcast. This podcast is produced by Maria Kent Beers and Rachel Martinez, and the beautiful music you hear is by Bailey Kent.